Good, Monday Makers. It's time for another community build roundup. In this week's episode, we're going to be checking out a berry support tunnel, a light-up Ferris wheel, marching band props, a vine canopy, a monitor stand, and a shelving unit for plants. All kinds of great builds. As always, let's jump right in and check them out. First up is this berry support tunnel from Beth, and this is really cool. Nice and simple project to get ready for spring. It's almost that time. People are getting ready for their gardens, and Beth wanted to create a support tunnel for her berry plants, as you can see here. And basically, I think she just used 1/2-inch EMT conduit. Looks like bent into an arch that just goes from one side to the other. And then she just used some T connectors and 180-degree connectors to basically just add some cross supports and connect the archways together. Nice and simple. And if you're looking to do incremental bins like this, you can use the free calculator that we put together and did a video on a while back. It kind of helps you figure out the math and all that kind of stuff for incremental bins. So check that out if you're interested. But a fantastic project. You can see here, looks like she added some wire going from each arch to the next, which is just going to give the plant something to grab onto. You could do the same kind of thing and then add trellis netting, kind of draped over top of it if you wanted. We've seen people do all kinds of different archways, and just super cool. So thanks so much, Beth, for sharing this. Awesome job. Next up is a light-up Ferris wheel, and this comes from Mark Anthony, and this is really cool. Apparently, this was a project back in around Halloween, and they used 3/4-inch EMT conduit and maker pipe to build this motorized Ferris wheel, as you can see here. They said they used half of the old wheel and made the stand using EMT conduit and maker pipe connectors, probably overbraced, but it held up and was able to break down for storage. Super cool, and yeah, just looks fantastic. And I guess the actual arms and stuff aren't conduit and maker pipe, if I understand correctly. I think just this base back here, the rectangular stand, is made with 3/4-inch EMT and maker pipe, which makes sense because then you could take apart the stand and then take apart this, or have this stay together, and then you just kind of separate the two things and store them that way. Super cool, and it looks fantastic. Here it is, all decorated and lit up with the spider and the spider web, and just a really cool project. And I really appreciate you sharing that, Mark Anthony. Really awesome. Next up are some marching band props and carts built by Luke, and this is really cool. Basically, as you can see here, they have a wooden cart with some heavy-duty casters on there, and basically they just built panels with 3/4-inch EMT and maker pipe connectors, just rectangular panels, and they use those to secure and kind of display the different banners that they use in their color guard and marching band shows, which is really awesome. And you can see here that they use material with grommets and basically just use like bungee cord or cabling of some sort to pull it tight in between and just kind of shrink it around the frame, if that makes sense. And then you can see that they use some 3/4-inch conduit with 2-hole straps to basically support and add some bracing here. And then they even made handles that they can pull the carts with using 3/4-inch EMT and connectors as well, which is super cool. And here's another shot of it from the kind of straight on view. You can see there's a T connector and a pipe in the middle just to add some more bracing. And I think they said they're going to be adding even more bracing this next year because they were noticing some sag in the pipes and things. So that's always a good idea. And that's kind of the beauty of conduit maker pipe. You can add things later on or take things away, or just kind of a change and adapt your build as you use it and learn new things about it. But here you can see they've got, I think these are smaller frames they've got put together, and they've got just basically the same kind of idea, just rectangular panels holding the banners up, and then they've got some bracing with just some pipes angled back to the back. And then here they haul those in this cart that they made. This looks really heavy duty, and basically it's just got the large casters that works well on rolling on fields and things. And then they've got just basically a railing system that holds the panels in place, just using 3/4-inch EMT and connectors to basically build rectangles and kind of build this framework just to kind of keep the different banners and things stored inside so they can haul it. Super cool and a great idea. Here's a shot of it without the things inside. Oh yeah, and something cool he said, they added PVC over top of the conduit, which kind of acts as rollers. So whenever they're loading and unloading these banner frames, they can basically just roll it over that, and that PVC is just going to spin over top of the conduit and allow you to easily pull stuff in and out. So that's really cool, and is a good idea and a really good thing to keep in mind if you're doing something like this where you need to load things off and on easier. So really cool. Thanks so much, Luke, for sharing this. Really appreciate it. Next up is a vine canopy, and this comes from Craig. This is really cool. You can see here that basically built this archway canopy that the vines that are climbing up this cattle panel or trellis netting here are going to grab onto the canopy. As you can see, they kind of already are. And then it'll kind of turn into an archway that you can walk under or a canopy that you can walk under, which is super cool. And looks like just a mixture of 3/4 inch EMT conduit and some really intricate bins. I imagine that took some trial and error to make these. And then they got some bracing with 45-degree connectors. I see some T connectors doing some cross bracing. And looks like it's secured to the house. I don't see exactly how it's secured to the house there, but secured nonetheless. And then it goes over and then secures to the vertical fence post here. I would imagine they used the same attachment method that you can see there. And I can't see exactly how they did it, but we've talked about different flanges and all kinds of different solutions that you could use for securing things like that. A really awesome project, and as the plants continue to grow and they bloom, if there's flowers on there, or depending on what kind of plant it is, obviously, it's going to look fantastic, and there's going to be some really cool stuff on there. So really awesome job, Craig. Thanks so much for sharing this. I love seeing it. Next up is another build from Luke, and this was something different. This was a monitor stand they built for, I think, a trade show or something. Basically, you can see this cart holding this massive TV, and it looks like there's a scoreboard on there. Not entirely sure what the trade show was or what they were using it for, but I think they're actually local to us in upstate South Carolina, which is pretty cool. We're down in Anderson, South Carolina, so not too far from the upstate. I guess Anderson is considered the upstate, but really cool. And here you can see they use 3/4 inch EMT conduit and maker pipe. Basically just built a triangular frame with a lot of bracing in there. I imagine that's a heavy TV. And then they secured the boards that are kind of holding up the TV with 2-hole straps. Looks like 8 per side, which is a good idea. As you can see here, 4 here, 4. So yeah, I guess 8, 16 total. And then they've got the TV just bolted to the wood, and then that's secured to the frame. There's all kinds of different connectors used. Looks like adjustable angles, T connectors, and they got casters on the bottom so they can roll it around. Really cool stand that they made for the trade show. Really cool. Thanks so much, Luke, for sharing this build. Also, love seeing it as well. Last but not least is a project from David, and this is a simple shelf. It's a really great design, really universal. You could use this for all kinds of stuff. Basically, it's just got 4 shelves, 1, 2, 3, 4, no, 5 shelves, sorry. And basically just use 90-degree connectors wherever you want to add a shelf. So you got the 4 verticals, 1 in each corner. You just add the 90-degree connectors in those corners, and then you just use 4 per to basically add a rung around. And then you can just do that, continue all the way up, and you can make a shelf. And you could customize the dimensions to make this wider or deeper, depending on what you're putting on there. Maybe it's tote storage for like plastic totes, different things as we've seen. But he's using it for plants, and I really love the shelves that he made. You can see here that he kind of did a slat design, so there's like a long piece and then 3 short pieces, so there's a space in between. And he said this was for the circulation. He also just likes the way it looks, which I think is also, I agree, I think it looks awesome. But you can imagine as you water the plants, if you want water to drain out, that's really cool. And he just said lighting and circulation, and just a really awesome job. Like I said, a really universal design you could use for all kinds of different custom shelving units, but really cool. David, thanks so much for sharing this, and thanks to everybody for posting your builds. As always, we love seeing them. If you want to check any of these builds out in more detail, they'll be linked in the description. And if you want to post your build, you can also go to the community, send us an email, text us. There's all kinds of different ways that you can share your builds, and we'd love to see them. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.